I had a chance to visit Portland 2 weeks ago while the Warriors were in town to play the Trailblazers, and I thought I'd give you a little glimpse into how I go about covering an NBA game. My favorite part of my visit is going down to the court hours before the game starts and watching players warm up. It's a great opportunity to see what moves they're working on and how focused they are on their craft. Here's Dame practicing one-handed shots to make sure his elbow stays in line with the basket. You can even notice his fingers come off the ball just before going into the release, even without the guide hand on the ball. Here he is talking to his longtime trainer Phil Beckner. Here's the mythical three-point shot by Drew Eubanks, which looks pretty darn good. And Jeremy Grant working on the dreaded long two-point mid-range along the baseline before moving on to the guarded shot around the top of the key, where a coach will lean on his hip to force him to maintain balance before relenting and letting him rise up into the shot. You've got players from both teams warming up on either end, with many going back and forth from the three-pointer into a runner like Ty Jerome does here. Jordan Poole works on off-the-dribble jumpers as much as he does catch and shoot, and part of his ritual is to keep backing up to almost half court to hone in on his power calibration. On the free throw, check how he turns his feet to his left, and the rhythm is perfect. The moment his knees are in the deepest part of the bend, the ball is below shoulder level. This means the energy transfer from the straightening of the legs is timed properly so that the release happens when he gets full leg extension. If you're wondering if other great shooters also turn their feet, here's Klay Thompson showing us a pretty severe turn of that right foot inwards in order to get his hip and elbow aligned properly to the hoop. Klay is really popular whenever he goes to any opponent arena, as he acknowledges some cheers from the stands before taking some threes with that beautiful release of his. Don't worry, he gets off the dribble threes up too, and there's Draymond working on some dynamic ball handling to get his body warmed up. Warm-ups are also interesting because you can see the differences between players up close. While this is a Klay free throw and a Draymond jumper, I think you can see how different these two are as shooters. And Draymond can make a lot of three-pointers in this setting, with pretty good rhythm, but unfortunately at game speed, he struggles to sync the knee bend with the arm swing up properly when he bends his knees too much. There's friend of the breakdown Lamar Hurd and Kevin Calabro getting ready to go live for their pregame segment on the court. Another thing I love to check on is the eye gaze of players after they release the jump shot. Most of the greatest shooters of all time will follow the ball with their eyes either right on the release or shortly afterwards. For instance, you can see Jordan Poole working on his pull-up jumpers, and on the first two, he gazes up at the ball while it's in mid-flight on the way to the rim. But on his next two, he doesn't watch the ball at all after the release. When he goes to the three-point shot, he keeps his eyes riveted on the rim, and this has always been curious to me since I believe for this one thing, players should do the same thing every single time. Andrew Wiggins, on his free throws at least, doesn't take his eyes off the rim for a second. Eubanks, with his over-the-head two-motion shot, also does not take his eye off the rim throughout the whole shot. And Ty Jerome was a guy who will not take his focus off the rim throughout the entire shot, and he's shooting it really well, so I probably wouldn't tell him to try it. Here's the part where you say, oh my god, Josh Hart follows the ball with his eyes and he's not a very good shooter. And he finds the ball even before it's out of his hands, which other great shooters did too, but there's some funky stuff going on with his wrist and alignment that would explain why he's under 35% from three for his career. Oh, and this is the last known footage of Josh Hart as a Trailblazer. He was traded literally 4 minutes after I filmed this footage. And I saved the best for last, as we can clearly see Klay Thompson following the ball right after he releases it off his fingertips. The feedback he gets from watching the ball is important, and I also think casting your focus on an object 30 feet away can make you lose track of your internal mechanics. So, knowing you're going to follow the ball with your eyes makes you more aware of the hip, elbow, wrist, and alignment of your body while the ball is on its upward swing into the shot. There are no bad habits when it comes to Klay Thompson's shooting mechanics, but if you have some bad habits that get in the way of your true success, you should try Fume, a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out a negative habit for a positive one. Fume is not a vape, it's a non-electric device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop bad habits like biting your nails is to replace them with a positive one, and Fume gave my fingers something to do since their version 2 is snappy, tactile, and has an adjustable airflow dial and magnetic end cap. Head to tryfume.com/bballbreakdown and use code bballbreakdown to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and the new version 2, Fume, to help kickstart your positive habits. That's try FUM.com and use code BBALLBREAKDOwn to save an additional 10% off on your order today. Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. I am happy to have friend of the breakdown, Nassir Little, back on the show to discuss a couple plays. So, Nassir, first of all, real quick, how's the season going for you so far?
It's been going good. Definitely improved on my 3-ball a lot this year. Being aggressive, shooting the ball well. So, I'm glad to notice those improvements in my game.
Absolutely. Well, I thought we could talk about a couple of buckets you made against the Milwaukee Bucks the other night, just because it's interesting to see from your perspective, how you ended up making these plays happen. So the first one we have here, and it's coming out of the corner. And my question, I think, first of all, would be, are you comfortable attacking out of the corner? Is that what happens a lot in your offense?
Yeah. So with guys like Dame and Anthony a lot, I'm in the corners and they're handling the ball at the top of the key. So I get most of my action, lifting up, especially coming out the pick and rolls, filling behind on the break and the wings, and getting dribble handoffs and stuff like that. So I definitely that's something I've been accustomed to in my game.
For sure. And so, and I think you would agree, handoffs are a great way to attack a defender, right?
For sure.
So how are you reading that first one when you come around to get the 3-point shot? What's your first look when you come off of that handoff?
Yeah, so initially my first read is trying to turn the corner. Some guys, depending on whatever their scout is or their defensive plan is, they'll shoot the gap, which is basically go into the guy dribbling the ball. So if they try to shoot the gap, I'll stop behind, and as you can see on that play where I shot the 3, he slid under the guy, and I just stopped behind and got to my shot.
Wow. And is there anything different about your shot you said this year that's making it go in?
Just a lot of reps. Just getting more comfortable, seeing the ball go in. The confidence starts to grow. Hours and hours over the summers, and you just kind of start to see that work pay off.
All right, well, that's awesome. Now, let's go to the next one here because you got even more to do on this one, coming out of the corner again, and we get another handoff. So walk us through what happens here and how you ended up getting this shot off in a very impressive manner.
Yeah, so on this play right here, I got the dribble handoff coming. Anthony's a great shooter, so guys usually don't, they're not in the paint, they're usually hugged up on them, so that kind of opens me up. So once I saw nobody was there, he shot the gap again, and there was space for me to drive. So for me, I'm a pretty strong guy, so I created contact to knock my defender off balance. And then once I kind of, saw him go backwards a little bit, I spun around to create more space. And then at that point, I just raised up, used my elevation, used a lot of core strength, and then was able to get it off the backboard and went down.
So you could be honest with us. Were you trying to hit the backboard?
I wasn't trying to, but there was a little bit of contact, and sometimes I think as a basketball player, you kind of have this internal sense of kind of where you are in the court. If you're fading, you got to shoot a little bit harder. You can kind of manage to see how you got to shoot it for it to go in.
Yeah, we're just kidding with you, but for sure the key was it was straight.
Yeah.
And it had good spin in the back that's going to go right in. That's actually a good way to do that. It can make it go in.
Yeah, most definitely.
Now, did you even see the rim on that shot? Can you remember?
At that point, no. But I think, like I was saying, after just years and years of repetition, you just kind of have this internal sense of where you are, and you kind of know how to get the ball to where it needs to go in.
The rest of the night was a lot of fun just being able to see the little things that happen behind the scenes before the game starts. And even on the concourse, you're bound to see some interesting stuff. I brought my daughter and her college roommates to the game with me, and we got some great highlights like this DiVincenzo smosh all over Eubanks, which the home crowd even appreciated. And then Shaedon Sharpe one-upped that with this ridiculous leap into a lob that got the crowd on their feet. After the game, I was at Dame's post-game interview, and I even got to ask him the question. The sequence where you went to the basket, missed, and then got the rebound and put it back in with so many people around you. Can you walk us through how that seems to work and how you're able to finish in those situations, being your size?
When I went to the rim, I got contact and I tried to still finish it. And I could kind of see how the ball was coming off. I knew it was going to be a little bit hard, and I just anticipated the bounce, and I just got another jump and grabbed it. And I knew that my defender was behind me, so I knew I needed to lay it up quick to get it back on the glass, and I did. It's just I've been out there a lot, in 11 years, and seeing my fair share of bounces and situations, and my judgment was just right in that one.
Absolutely. Well, it's great seeing you, and thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. So you in? Are you in this year?
I'm definitely in.